Good to see you there.
Oh.
This is a very nice, pleasant podcast hosted by a chill married couple.
Really laid back, never talk over each other or get in fights while recording. Or off air.
Never.
Really? Nope.
No.
Don't.
Perfect harmony all the time. But we're not like one of those like that, like, oh, constantly at each other's throats, but at the end of the day, you know we love each other. We're not that either.
What?
I think maybe we play up the, oh, you drive me crazy, you, on the podcast.
Do we?
Yeah, but in real life, we're just like pretty good, solid partners.
Oh, I mean, that's true.
In life and business.
I like
and
bickering,
podcasts.
though.
Sorry?
I enjoy good bicker.
I don't.
So I know, that's what...
I just want everyone to get along. I like
I like a little spice.
I like spice too, but you have to be good at the spice. And
I'm not good.
the other person, no, I think I'm just not good at taking it. Maybe
Then you don't like spice, my love. If you don't like the way pepper tastes, then you don't like it.
if I don't like the way pepper tastes,
I'm saying you're sitting over there saying you like spice, but then when I give you the business, you don't like it. So I'm saying maybe you don't like spice.
I was about to explain, like, no, but see, I like when I give you the business, but when you give it back to me, I'm like, I don't like it as much. So do I? That just means, you know,
You like to season things, but you don't like to eat them.
exactly.
Okay. This metaphor is going to go
It
forever.
tracks beautifully. That is Sally's customary appearance
He
via
was
the
just give him a fucking
baby
break.
monitor.
He's
Yeah, I am.
sneezing.
And, you know, we welcome you into our lives on this podcast, Load Bearing Beams. We release it every 2 weeks at this point, and we're a married couple. My name's Matt Stokes.
My name's Lacey Roth.
We review a movie together. One of us picks it, and we watch it. And it has significance for one of the people and not the other. And then
We
have to be
alternate
like,
weeks.
Yep. What do we think of this?
This-
Twister's good, isn't it?
this
I don't
week-
know about Twister.
This week, the movie was significant to me.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I explain why? Not this movie, but the premise of the podcast.
Well, we have a lot of business to get to before then, but
We always explain the premise of the podcast at the top.
I feel like I just did.
How? You
I
said
just
it was
one of the
significant.
It's a significant thing to one person, not the other, and then we confront our feelings about it. But go ahead. I thought you didn't want to do the.
No, I like your succinct definition. Fine, continue.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's just there has to be a little bit. It's got to be a little more loaded than that. There has to be a good reason why, as a child, you watched this movie. A lot of times, really related to it, decided to make it part of your vocabulary
You don't
in
have to
life.
be a child.
You don't have to be, but I often find these movies happen to me somewhere between 8 and 15. This one being when I was 12. Anyway, you watched it a lot. Shocking if someone else hadn't seen it or didn't devour it the way that you did. So when it's your partner in this life, you go, you know what? Why don't you take a peek and see what you've been missing? And by the way, don't hate it because I like it whether you like it or not. And it's a load-bearing beam in the house that is Lacey.
Hmm.
Don't hate it.
And there has to be an element of a little nervous to show it.
That just said why. Because you're not allowed to hate it. So if you go hating it, you just broken a rule, haven't
What
you?
I get nervous about, and I say this every time,
Mm-hmm.
is oh boy, I've wasted our night. I've wasted our podcast.
Again,
Lacey's so angry that
I
we're watching
always
this.
think of your movies as a waste of my nights. Don't think you're going to waste my night any more than you ever do.
Well, you're saying-
Your podcast picks always waste my night.
Hmm.
But they're for the greater good.
What good it is to. I have to apologize to you. I think that we're recording this in my office, and I made this room smell like lemon. I figured that you would,
You're apologizing to me?
yeah, to you, Lacey, because you're very vulnerable to smells in a way that I'm
I
not.
didn't notice the smell.
Oh, okay. You remember,
Why would you do that?
we have, because I just earlier I was like, oh, this room fucking stinks. I should go get our demystifier neuralizer thing out
You got our deneuralizer.
that we got swindled into paying thousands of dollars.
Right, to the rainbow
I mean, we got
vacuum.
financing. We're paying $109 every month for the rest of our lives for a vacuum.
That's really hard to bring up and down the stairs.
Because we're fucking idiots.
We are
I think
Morons.
I don't remember if we told the story on the podcast or not.
So
But, like,
sure we needed that vacuum.
If you want to sell us something, like, we're such easy marks, we'll just do it. We'll just buy it. We'll take on debt and lower our credit rating just to make you happy.
And just because you're in our house, and it's weird if we say no at this point, right?
Right.
Plus, I thought about that, we go through a decent vacuum once a year. it doesn't make sense to keep buying a $100 vacuum every year, or just buy the lifetime guaranteed $1,500 vacuum once.
But
It makes sense to me.
it's not 1,500, but it ends up being like 4,200, and we could buy a $100 vacuum every month. Wouldn't that be nice to just like done with this one, to going to get a new one
I feel
now?
like we do that with Dustbuster because we overuse the handheld one because we don't want to go get the giant fucking rainbow one that takes forever to move it around.
Yeah,
And you
it's-
gotta fill it up with water. It's like a fucking fish tank.
And it's one of those things that
needs
has
to be
so many
fed.
features that when you see all the features, you get stressed out. You're like, I'm not going to use all those features. I'm going to feel guilty that I'm not taking advantage of this. And the salesperson knows how to use this, and I never will because I'm an idiot. But this thing not only vacuums, but it also can shoot essential oils throughout your house and suck up shit from the air. And the salesman was like, I find my air is much crisper at home. And we were both not, yes, crisp,
I walked into
crisp air.
the kitchen where he had set it up, so it was purposely outside of the room where he was demonstrating, so that I could walk into that room and go, "Is this crisp?
Mm-hmm.
Am I smelling crisp?" And then I thought, we need that.
We did really feel like we needed it.
I
It would
liked it
change
for
our
a long
lives.
time, a good month.
Listen,
Hmm.
it's still a perfectly fine vacuum. Again,
I meant the bowl thing that spun and it diffused the air. I meant that thing.
mhm,
That thing
and
I
I
liked.
used that thing
You
for a few
broke it.
minutes today. Well, but I used this. The vacuum itself has that feature on it, and I used it in my office. I was like, I'm gonna get my office smelling nice and lemony, and then after 4 minutes, I was grossed out. And
It smells like cheap hotel cleaner.
it smells like something.
It smells like cheap hotel disinfectant smell.
It smells like something.
I didn't notice it.
Well, when you were pregnant, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but do you remember when you got pregnant and you're like, I can't?
Plug-in thing. Or maybe that was what happened downstairs, but there was a smell upstairs that repelled me, and so we lived downstairs for a while. And then the wallflower plug-in happened downstairs, completely ruined that space, and so I lived upstairs for the second half of my pregnancy. It's a dark, dark time.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hated all of it.
Well, I'm glad you're not feeling that way this evening.
No,
We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Oh, good.
We both have. Lacey has 2 Miller Lights, and I have a margarita.
You have 2
And
margaritas.
but it's one margarita, but too big for one glass. And I realized that the very definition of when something becomes 1 drink to 2 drinks is when it goes into another glass. But to me, this is just one margarita spread over 2
That's
drinks.
just because you made too much. If you were at a restaurant, that's
I
how
made
much you
what the
get
recipe
each time.
called for.
Yeah, it's for 2 people, asshole.
It doesn't say that anywhere. It doesn't
It's
say
a-
this is a party size.
Because no one has a margarita alone. That's weird. It's a party drink. It's a sharing thing.
This is a party.
And you're the only one drinking that, so you've made a drink for 2 people.
God, I have egg on my face.
You do.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff we over the 2 weeks that we do not record. I'm like, oh, I need to bring that up on the podcast, and then I always forget what they are. It's always like
Maybe write it down.
I could.
Take a
My problem in life is
vocal
that
note.
when something pops in my head, I'm like, I am so sure that like this is so important. There's no way I'm not going to remember
I
this.
mean, yeah,
I'll
same way.
feel stupid if I write it down, and then it's gone.
It's gone.
We are looking at Twister right now on our screen. We're watching it as we talk to you.
Whatever
So
happened to
Twister is a 1996 film directed by Jan de Bont. Stars Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton.
Boy, does it.
Lacey, can you tell us about it?
It's the best fucking movie. I watched this movie over and over again when it came out. And it was the first time I had a friend who had a dad that was really into like surround sound and had a really weirdly big TV. Big TVs weren't
I had a friend like that
really
too.
common yet. And like, so every time a friend comes over, you can tell he makes them like sit down and listen and watch.
Yep.
And this was the movie he put on to show me. As the first time I saw it, didn't see it in theaters because I was living in Bush, Louisiana,
Bush, Louisiana,
which
which
has
is,
no theater. You have to go to Bogalusa, which is even worse sounding than Bush. Anyway, so I didn't see it in the theater. I saw
These
it.
are very small towns in the country.
Unfortunate,
Like maybe an
towns.
hour and a half north of New Orleans.
Right, and I lived there for all of one school year because my mom decided to marry the third man she thought would be good as a life partner. Incorrect.
Incorrect?
Incorrect.
That was not a winner?
He was the worst of the bunch.
Really?
A prison guard.
Oh.
Racist as all get out.
No.
Mm-hmm. Handlebar mustache. At least 8 feet tall. That's how I remember him. Sleptwalked
Tall people are the
naked.
worst.
The first
Well, that's kinda
time
odd.
I slept over. That was the whole meet your new stepdad. Oh, by the way, she had married him before I ever met him.
Oh my God.
This was the one she married when I was at my dad's for 4 weeks or 6 weeks during the summer.
And she's like, guess what, honey?
Yep. We'd already moved and
Meet
everything.
your new father.
She moved all my things. You know we were moving all the time. You know that I like to pack my own
And
shit.
you were how old? You were 13
12.
or something? That is when you are at the age where you're like, but this is my stuff.
This is my and me and her were sharing a room at the apartment we were living in. There was 2 rooms, and Frankie, because he's a male, I don't know. Me and my mom shared a room. It's weird. 2 day beds, one on either side of the room. Anyway, so maybe she thought, it's my room. I'll pack her stuff. Marry who I want.
Sure. No, and we're going through, I mean, we're probably past it now, but our daughter, who is 10, recently crossed to the age where she is like, but this is my stuff. Why are you touching my stuff? And we're still thinking of it like, you're just a kid. Whatever.
That's
I clean
not-
your room when you're not here. Whatever.
I've always tried to be more respectful for that.
I know you've tried.
But I don't.
But you failed.
You're right. I make it look like I'm not touching it.
But your mom's fourth man, there was a winner.
Yes.
Shout out to Rick.
Hey, Rick.
Who listens every week, even though
In secret.
we only record every 2 weeks. He's not
He
listening.
needs to listen twice.
I had a friend's dad like that who was the tech guy, and he had a big screen TV, and he had, the surround sound. The movie that introduced me to that was The Matrix.
Mm.
And I remember saying, but that's an R-rated movie. I can't see that. And he's like showing off the features of the DVD, and he's doing it on a laptop. It's like, this laptop can accept DVDs. It's called DVD-ROM. Put in the DVD, and he's like, I can turn this from an R-rated movie into a PG-13 movie.
How?
He couldn't do that. He was lying.
Oh.
But I thought he was serious, and for a long time I was like, that guy knew so much about But what did I think he was? He's going to put it into Final Cut Pro?
It's like the Marilyn Manson album where if you let it go all the way to track 99, there's a secret track. So maybe if you put a DVD into a computer such as that, you let it spin long enough.
You find the hidden track at the end, which is the PG-13 cut of
Exactly.
The Matrix.
Yep.
So that was not
I
real.
bring up Marilyn Manson every podcast.
Well, he's very important.
We really need to stop at this point because he's not a great guy.
No, he sucks. A lot of people suck, but he sucks.
He's the R. Kelly of rock, as it turns out.
And with like active, bad men, bad artists, bad people who you support, there's like an extra layer of culpability that you might feel as a fan because you're like, well, I supported you financially and sort of just gave you credibility that then you could use to exploit your victims.
And I totally bought your hiding in plain sight shtick. I didn't feel abused at all when you spread your ass cheeks apart and showed me your asshole
Yeah.
at my first concert.
Same thing happened at my first concert, Shania Twain.
I
She just pulled apart her butt cheeks and was like, look, there it is. I feel like a woman. That happened.
know.
Well, this is Load Bearing Beams and we're talking Twister. Oh, speaking of 90s music, I needed to issue a correction because, of course, on our last episode, my brother came on and brought up Chumbawamba, and we had to guess what his first album that he ever owned on CD was, and I said Tub Thumping, and he said no, it's Tub Thumper. Now, of course, the song is called Tub Thumper, or Tub Thumping, but the album is called Tub Thumper. Unless I
Elliot
have
has
those
a
reversed.
steel trap of a memory. He truly remembers details of pop
No, but
culture.
he corrected me and said the wrong thing because I was talking about the album.
Oh.
But the song
Then
is...
how are you making a correction right now? You're
I'm
correcting
correcting Elliot, yes.
Oh, God.
I wanted to get him to come on and issue a heartfelt apology that we could play soaring music over, and
All right. It's
or
not too
at
late.
least to type an apology into his notes app on his iPhone and then take a screenshot and put that out on Instagram. Apologize to the fans. I'm going to be better, but never got around to that.
Okay.
But then I started looking onto Chumbawamba, and it's like, wow, did you know that like this was their 8th album, and they were like these legendary anarchist punk rockers in England.
Shut up.
And they were talking about like police brutality and stuff like
What?
in like the 80s and 90s. Holy shit, is this the best band ever? And as I was reading them on the Wikipedia, I did have a fleeting thought like maybe they're my favorite band. Maybe
What?
I'm going to listen to them now and be like, actually, low key, they're like the greatest band of the 80s. And
no bands of the 80s. Hardly.
What?
80s isn't really your genre. You know like 5. Not that you don't know that. I'm saying it, whatever.
No,
I
think I can know 5 80s bands. I can name 5 80s
I know
bands.
that you can. I'm saying.
Do you want to see if I can?
I'm saying that I don't know that it makes sense for you
REO
to
Speedwagon.
That's the 70s.
Well, damn.
Okay.
I don't know any.
Yes, you
That's
do know
it.
80s band.
No.
Why are you making me argue this for you now? I'm against myself.
I'm just doing a bit
It's
that
fun.
I don't know any 80s bands.
Yeah, that was a fun bit.
Well, you interrupted my Chumbawamba thing. I for a second, you know how Louis C.K., the great man Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Had the bit where he's like, the soldier on the plane comes on the plane and he thinks about offering his seat to him. He doesn't actually do it, but he feels like really proud of himself for just thinking about
What
it.
a nice
I had
man.
a similar thing where I was like, maybe I'll make them my favorite band. Now, I never spent 1 second listening to them in the 2 weeks since then. But I was very happy with the idea that I would go up to people and say, my favorite band, Chumbawamba. That'd be funny.
But
Lacey's.
I'm just confused.
So perplexed.
Are they actually good?
I don't know because I didn't listen to them.
You just read about them and decided this.
I read about them and I thought they sound really cool and impressive. I would like for them to become my favorite band.
Okay.
I should listen to them to see if that'll
All right.
be true, but I didn't listen to them. Maybe they are.
Wow, I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't wait for next podcast when you tell us the
Well,
results
I'll
of
give you an
this.
update then. I'm sure I won't have listened to them then either.
That's weird to not, because you could be really missing out on some cool ice-breaking material at your next.
I know, and my opinions about music, like every band or artist that I've claimed to have hated, I then listen to, and I'm like, oh, I'm just an idiot. This is great.
Not Nickelback.
Even Nickelback,
They suck.
I have no ill will toward Nickelback anymore. I'm like, God bless you guys. Do what you do. Creed, love Creed.
Stop it.
I would, if we started a Creed and Nickelback cover band, that would be so fun.
Okay, that would be really fun.
Yeah, and so I'm just like grateful that they exist. That's okay that they exist.
What we call it, greed, because we're
Yeah,
just in it
greed.
for the money.
That's great. Yes, we need to play. We need to be Greed. What are you gonna play?
What I don't know any of the song names.
You'll sing? You can sing.
Oh, what am I gonna play? Yeah, I'm gonna play the vocals.
You'll be Scott's.
I'll play
you'll
the
be
chords.
You'll be Shad. Scott and Chad.
Maybe they'll give me the same compliment that the Nickelback front guy would get, and it was a backhanded compliment, but he got it the most often, which was anytime anyone saw him in person, they'd be like, "You're actually really attractive in person."
Did he look really ugly on
He just didn't.
When he didn't
well,
photograph well?
He wasn't conventionally handsome. There were really attractive front men for 90s bands and early. I mean, it almost seemed like, what are the odds that such an attractive man would also be good at playing the guitar and singing and writing his songs? Like, oh, wait a minute, they're manufactured just like fucking boy bands.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you know what I mean. But they're selected
for
having a full package, a total package.
and for writing songs that are just like tailor made to exactly what radio, like sort of just mainstream rock audiences need to hear.
Because they're always going to be about love, right? And like longing. So if you're going to put those
And
songs,
fucking.
right? But you need girls to pine and pretend that if it's not coming out of a hottie, you're just kind of like, ugh, I'll bet he does want me. Ugh. I'll bet he is a loser without a love. Yeah. So it's like, you need that angsty, oh, I want to make him feel better. Oh, my vagina.
This is fascinating. And so this is also, you really hate the band Bush.
No, I don't.
Oh, you hate them. So
I
when we were
do
driving in the car a few weeks
them.
ago listening to Bush and you were angry.
I think that
Because-
he's vapid.
But it was all because of the way he looks.
Because I think that he's all look and no substance. He's got 2 songs that wouldn't kick out of bed. Then the lyrics are so stupid. He's got a machine head. It's better than the rest. Green to Red. Machine Head.
And
What?
And I explained to you.
He put a fucking word. He put cut up words from a magazine into a blender, and those 5 shot out. And went, yes, my greasy hair shall do the rest. Machine Head, Green to Red. Vogue. Shit.
But here's why I can't get. I feel much more anger now toward Imagine Dragons and every other just whatever passes for popular mainstream rock today,
Sure.
which is a lot of chant.
They figured out people. They figured out people like to chant.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
They'll
Tonight.
You wanna know why?
We are.
Because everybody wants to know the song after hearing it one time. Everyone's uncomfortable by a song they've never heard before. And if you've got something like that in it, just one thing, it gets people to keep on caring. Because, like, I already know the song.
Yeah, in a hyper-accelerated world, in rock, this genre that has to celebrate complexity, repeated listens,
Yes.
complex instrumentation.
Who's got the time?
Yeah, we just need hooks. We need catch. I got lightning and the thunder.
Stop! This is not going to be listenable.
I think it's great. But, okay, so, like, Nickelback, when it's, the early 2000s, and you're like, this is fucking ridiculous bullshit rock. I can't believe this is what's popular. But it's like, this is all you have on the radio. Now, there's stuff everywhere, so there's nothing to be mad about. If you don't want to listen to Nickelback, don't listen to Nickelback. But we got plenty of stuff. It's like the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. Because I recently watched Batman Forever, and I kind of liked it. But people hated them at the time, but it was the only Batman movies you were getting, were the Batman movies with the nipples and the butts. And people were like, that's not my Batman. But now you got tons of different Batman movies. You can have the dark Batman or you can have the nipple Batman. So you find your own thing. That's what I'm saying.
There's now room for this.
Exactly. There's room.
For crap.
There's room for Creed and Nickelback is what I'm saying. And 10 years from now, I'll be like, you know what, Imagine Dragons, you're all right.
You stuck around. Mm-hmm. I still know your name.
I mean, can you imagine dragons?
Wow.
Shall we talk about Twister?
I mean, we might as well.
Can you take us through the...
Well, guys, there's a Twister. It's... Okay, so tell me the name of the director again.
Jan de Bont.
He better fucking be French. I'll be mad.
He's Dutch.
I'm mad.
He was a cinematographer. He worked with Paul Verhoeven.
I didn't ask you all that shit. You can have your time later with all that info.
This is important.
I know, and you can say it later after you lick the salt from your rim over there. Yeah, you're licking salt. Okay, so you said something interesting once, and it was that. That was a good bit. Anyway, that he had this. He came out of the gate with 2 successful movies and then just made a bunch of poopers. Is that right? He made Twister and Speed.
He made Speed and then Twister. And then he made Speed 2 Cruise Control. And
here's what he did. Here's why the first 2 worked. And I'd love to watch a bad one because I want to see what went off the rails.
Well, let me just say, this is a canonical... If there's ever like a... What director started out red hot and then just never recovered, he's like the go-to example. Boom, boom, Speed Twister, and then nothing but shit.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
So what he did right, in both movies, he gives me a heaping pile of people to care about. He finds charismatic people that work well together. I don't know if it was an accident or if it... whatever. And he gave me a suspenseful, nonstop thrill ride with a million reasons to hug a person.
That should be on the poster.
Both movies find 2 really compelling people who aren't in a relationship, but they should be, and you feel that the whole time in both movies, and they have at least 8 opportunities in both movies to hug each other aggressively to protect them from flying debris. And it's just like, oh yeah, oh no, you gotta hug Keanu, oh shit, oh that looks like a really good safe hug, that looks important, it's hot, sexy hugging.
Oh, listen, I love how much you love this movie.
I do love this movie.
I was delighted by how delighted you were by it.
I don't ever get this pumped about
I know.
movies.
It
I
was
was like,
nice.
I will watch
It was-
this
it was
every
charming.
night.
It was
God, this is
lovely.
good.
Yeah, I wish I'd been able to articulate this better on our Godzilla episode. But, there's like the sort of the platonic ideal of what used to be called a programmer. And that's just a movie. You just plug it in at the movie theaters and your parents will go see it on the weekends. And it's just either it stars Harrison Ford on maybe your lower end as just like a thrill. Oh, the Russians are doing something. Or, maybe you got your bigger budgets like this, where the stars are Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, and then they're in their late 30s, and there's, big budget special effects, but it's just some sort of a movie about people doing their jobs. And that movie has totally disappeared from Hollywood. It's now just TV. Every TV show, every CBS procedural, that's what's happened. And
I mean, I miss rom-coms. I was a total sucker for those. And that is the thing that this director did well, is tucked a romantic story that's fun and flirty and there's not a lot of stakes, and like maybe they make it out or maybe they don't, wrapped around a really intense experience that you could
feel that way. That's so weird that that the new wife is there, or the fiance
I love
is
that.
there. That's
otherwise it's a
I just
given
feel
they're
so
gonna
bad for her.
Yeah, but that's why they perfectly write her out, where she says the thing about, you know what? I'm not even that upset. What does that mean? And then she leaves. And it's like, that's right. We didn't even remember you. Bye, Melinda, Melissa, Michelle.
I thought it was pretty well handled. I do think for as much as it sort of like makes me want to not root for Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, even though you're supposed to, the existence of the fiance there, like, is really like, well, she's the victim. This is, how am I supposed to? But they do handle it pretty well, because there's actual story here. She sees that the man she's in love with she doesn't actually know him, because now she's seeing him in his real environment.
He is a person
storm
who
chaser.
is always going to need a thrill ride.
Yes.
And to really bring out the passion. He was trying on a new life, but he's not ever going to be really proud of himself in that new role. This story mirrors Princess Di, and what's the name of the person he actually loves?
Camilla Parker Bell.
Yeah. Are you sure it's Bell? I don't think it's Bell.
Parker Bowles.
Yeah, Bowles. And it's if...
Listen, everybody knows the Twister is actually about Camilla Parker Bowles and Princess Diana.
I mean, you've got the person that society thinks that they need, I need to move on. I need to grow up. I need to marry.
In this case, this is
marry
the
who I am
Gertz.
supposed. Can I keep going? I need to marry. God damn it, Matt! What?
I want to. You're using shorthand.
I'm going to longhand it, you motherfucker.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you've got the new girlfriend that Pullman has here. She's more acceptable.
Paxton.
Goddamn Paxton.
Bill Paxton plays.
Oh my God! Stop talking.
Plays Bill.
She's a more grown-up person and version of himself. He apparently lived a very wild, reckless life that had a wild, reckless marriage that didn't. It was his old. Anyway, society needed him to grow up, but what the other woman, the woman before the proper woman, represents is someone who gets that guy, who pulls out the kid in him, but maybe all there is a kid in him, and like likes to hunt and watch polo and do stupid shit.
Get her hands dirty.
Parker Bowles was like a salt of the earth, grimy, nails dirty girl who just liked to pal around and laugh at his stupid jokes and watch him do polo and hunt quail. That's who he needed to be with.
And just like with Princess Diana and Camilla, maybe Helen Hunt isn't the best looking person. Oh, wait, no, she's the most attractive person in the history of the world in this movie.
Yeah, she's never looked better.
I never, comment on, that's an attractive lady. But you
there's
said it first.
So
you're like,
natural about the way she looks in this movie. That white tank top and that tan, and her hair's just ever so many ways, and she's completely self-possessed. She's completely confident in who she is. You don't get to see a woman do that very often. This is her element. She's fucking awesome at this. Mm-hmm. She's driven whether he's there or not. She was going to be doing this whether he's there or not.
Yeah.
There's something
although once he comes in,
hot about that.
He suddenly then takes over the operation, and everybody's like, all right, boss,
but she lets him.
She lets him. It's
She
like when the
lets him.
Pope was gonna crown Napoleon emperor, and then Napoleon snatched the crown out of the Pope's hands and put it on his head instead, on his own head instead. Just say like, you don't make me an emperor, I make the emperor. That's what it's like.
Okay.
Now,
she likes his partnership.
but the other
She
thing,
missed him.
the other thing is that the new what's the new fiance's name?
Melissa.
So, but Melissa also represents city living. She's got a cell phone, and this movie made me remember that there used to be a time, kids, when in a movie or a TV show, if a character used a cell phone, that was a very important thing about them. Think of Angelica's mom from Rugrats.
They would have had to really go out of their way to pay for a plan and get that phone and carry it around, the giant brick
It's like
in
they're
their
taking
purse.
phone calls while they're around other people. Is nothing sacred? Like, how important is your? Whoa.
Right.
That's what the new fiance is doing. She's always talking on her cell phone.
Well,
She's not like Helen Hunt.
but it's just for clients only and for patients. She's doing the Lord's work. But yeah, she's got
She's at least doing her
job.
Yeah, and her job is not to be I'm an executive at a board. She's a
fertility-
therapist. Yes.
And then it comes out that it's a fertility therapist too.
Okay,
so of
but
course
it's more
it has-
specific and more realized. This is a good movie. Let me
Yeah.
okay. I like this movie nowhere near as much as you did, but I was like, what I was sort of building to earlier is, you used to have your programmers in the 90s,
Okay.
and then you had your sort of blockbusters like this or like Independence Day,
Mhm.
which are like the better ones, and then Godzilla, which is
Crap.
not good. I mean, you hate it. I only slightly dislike it, but it still just had like a personality that no big budget movie today has. In the sort of ensemble and the weird character actors you have just kind of tolling around in the background.
A lot of budget. I mean, I don't know if it's a lot of budget, but yeah, they're just more. I don't know. That there's more actors, but this Twister has like every actor in it.
The cast it's a stacked cast.
It's
folks.
crazy, and they all have like 5 lines.
Yeah. Well, so you know who was brought on board to rewrite the script?
What was
A
wrong?
guy who was. Well, just every script gets that done to it, every
okay.
Hollywood script. So actually, the story so Michael Crichton and his wife wrote this movie.
Mhm.
They sold it to Steven Spielberg's Amblin Company. Spielberg was himself going to direct it. It has a lot of trappings of a Spielberg movie. You have divorce, which is always a Spielberg thing. They're also courting James Cameron to do it, and I kind of feel like this movie's sort of a splice of a James Cameron and Steven Spielberg movie where you have the divorce and the family dynamics and the big budget effects mixed with like a lot of hard scrabble blue collar folks and the not liking the big money corporation coming in
Yeah.
and taking over this sort of more down to earth thing. But instead they get Jan de Bont fresh off of Speed, which we also watched just because it's just sort of like autoplayed, and then we were just like, oh, it's a good movie, and then we just watched all of Speed.
It was good. And
It's-
I didn't think I liked Keanu Reeves until you told me about that fact that he does his own stunts. So I didn't
Does
think
some of his own stunts.
I didn't think I liked him until John Wick, but it turns out
He's
I
great.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, and
Boy,
it
is
makes
he a
you
great
watch.
character in Speed.
You watch all of his earlier movies, and suddenly you're like, "Oh, you're doing stuff that I didn't appreciate."
Yes, well, and I think I only thought of him as Bill and Ted and the guy from Parenthood, and just like a bonehead dude. But like when he's got depth, it's super sexy.
They say you need a license to
Okay,
drive,
stop.
but you don't need
I
one
like
to
that.
have to get Parenthood.
Exactly.
Trying to just, I've been wrestling in my mind. Which do I hate more, Clifford or Parenthood? And I think it'd be Parenthood because Parenthood.
Was trying to do something that it didn't do.
Yes,
Okay.
Parenthood holds itself as something more important than what it is.
Fine. I think you should go fuck yourself. Well, then
You
what-
hated
what-
Parenthood when we watched it,
I know, but
you hated Clifford when we watched it.
I have reset accordingly.
That's frustrating.
We know that I do this.
And we've pointed to our Parenthood episode is very good. You re-listened to it. And so you lived all now she's reset, she doesn't remember that either.
This is convenient about me. It means I get to watch things like a brand new child.
Yeah.
I like this about me.
I like it about you too, but it's sometimes
Yeah.
I'm getting a little frustrated.
Okay.
What was I saying?
This movie just doesn't have a place now.
It doesn't have a place.
Okay.
But we did watch Speed, and Speed is like 10 million times better than Twister. Twister is like, for me, just like
What?
functional and entertaining. Speed is like the height of what a just like one sentence premise can be. Bomb on a bus, buses go fast, what are you gonna do? Boom! And that movie is fucking great. It's so good. And also, I wouldn't have thought it's a load-bearing beam. I haven't seen it in 20 years. But when we were watching Speed, every micro detail of Speed was familiar to me. All the characters, everything they've said, it was just also, it's just living in my head, even though I don't think about it.
And of all the characters or all the actors you'd pick out of the two, you wouldn't think the common denominator would be fucking Ferris Bueller's best friend. What's his name? Ruck? Alan Ruck. But I like him in both. He's fucking likable.
There were some others who appeared in both of these. There was the guy who plays shitty comedian Jimmy Barrett from Mad Men. The guy who...
What is he in Speed?
He is on the corporate team.
In Speed? There's a corporate team? Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Twister. No,
nope.
He's like one of the guys who gets on the elevator at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, you're right. That is a weird... Yeah.
So there's him and Alan Ruck. So many people in both movies.
Wow. 2. It's almost a list. 1,
when
2.
you Michael Crichton and his wife write the script, hot property, ooh, this is going to be a giant movie, and it was big hit. But in your two lead actors, kind of an interesting choice. Bill Paxton, always been a character actor. He's been in tons of big movies, but always as...
Is he in Lake Placid, or is
No,
that the
that's
other
Bill
one?
Pullman.
Every fucking time. Sorry.
Which, yeah, I know. There's always that's always the joke about those two actors.
I know, and
they're
I don't
nothing
even mean,
really alike.
They're not. They're
but their
vanilla.
names are similar. Oh, they are not vanilla. Oh, Bill Paxton.
They go down smooth.
No, Bill Paxton might be one of my favorite actors, actually.
Vanilla is delicious.
Vanilla is he's vanilla. You know what he is?
I'm saying he goes with
Vanilla.
everything. I didn't mean vanilla like boring. I meant
Well, I'd say there's
classic.
one thing you can't do:
be a woman.
carry a movie.
Interesting.
He's not a leading man.
Nah.
He's fine, but there's nothing you could slot in so many actors who would do so much more with this. Maybe I guess you
said
disagree.
he was your favorite actor.
That doesn't mean that everything he's ever done is great.
I'm so
I just
not
mean that
following
I'm
this.
always super happy to see him in a movie.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
But he was all, he's in Aliens and he's in True Lies and he's in these James Cameron movies, but always as like the fourth or fifth guy. And then after this, he's in Titanic, but he's the treasure hunter in the modern story. He's not playing
James
Jack.
Cameron, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jack.
But it's interesting that this movie, as its romantic leads, has Bill Paxton 41,
It is
Helen Hunt 33, and I was reading articles from the time about this movie, and they're all like, Helen Hunt from TV's mad about you. So I guess it was like, now I think, well, Helen Hunt, the great movie star who won Best Actress and stuff at the Oscars. But she, it'd be like taking the wife from Everybody's Loves Raymond or something, I guess, and putting her as the lead in a big movie.
But she's amazing. And then the only other thing I can remember her in after this is the What Women Want.
Yeah, and As Good as It Gets is the next year
Oh,
after
you're right.
this.
Duh. Oh,
She
wait,
wins
and
the
Pay It
Oscar.
Forward. Isn't that
Mhm.
one? You're right. She did have a little... What happened to her?
Well, what happens to all women
She
when
aged.
they become 40? They're like, do you want to play a grandmother? No, but you're 40.
She's so
And
pretty,
then that's
though.
it. Yeah.
She did get some more plastic... She got plastic surgery after this movie.
Would you say that about a man?
Yes. Yes.
Misogynist.
Okay.
I think she is wonderful. In this and just in general. I think she just...
She's a good dramatic actress.
I watched As Good as It Gets a few years ago, and there's the scene where she's... Have you seen that movie?
Of course I've seen that movie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
the look of contempt Lacey just shot. Have I seen As Good as It Gets? Of course I've seen As Good as It Gets.
You're going to keep...
You motherfucker.
All right. Do I need to be here when we leave? You got more to say?
You are a shitty person. for
There you
asking.
go. Okay.
Well, what do you remember about it?
I remember that it's with Jack Nicholson, and then I remember her kid has all these ailments or whatever.
Yeah,
and
he has
she's-
all these ailments.
Do you want me to... And she's a waitress, and he's insufferable, but he takes a liking to her, and then he helps her out by getting a doctor that actually diagnoses him, and she says, "Pieces of shit, HMO." And then I was like, "What's an HMO?" And then I learned, because I became an adult, and they are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that he has a gay neighbor, and that neighbor gets brutally attacked, and he's awful to that neighbor, but then he becomes friends with them, and then they go on a road trip for some fucking reason, and he sees the small of her back because she's naked drawing a bath. And are they romantic? I don't remember.
They get
And
romantic.
They get romantic. And that's all. I remember that's a lot for me.
It's not a very good movie, but she's great, and she has her kid who's always sick, and she's a waitress, and she's struggling to get by, but she has no time for herself. But when I describe it like that, it makes it sound shitty, but the movie actually does a good job of like, think of how hard this must be to try to like have a personal life or try to like go on dates or something. So she goes on a date, and then she comes home with her date.
And grabs a napkin, it's got mucus.
Close. She's gonna fuck the guy, but then the kid comes out, and he's like, he's thrown up, and she's cleaning up the throw up, and then some of the throw up gets on her date, and her date's like, oh, and she says, it's just throw up. And I just think of her saying it's just a little throw up all the time, because that's awesome, because that is how you become as a parent, and that's just how everyone should be. Just like fucking get over it. Very good, well observed moment. Good on Helen Hunt. That's my point. I think of just the little throw up all the time, every time I clean up something shitty that my kids do.
I've gotten my son's shit in my hair and on my face more times than I can count. Because when he poops like a man. And, he's not potty trained yet because it takes a minute. And that shit gets everywhere. And then if you're trying to clean it up off the floor and it's like, and he's rolling around and you're like, I gotta stop these alligator legs. And then you wipe your face off. And then I'm glad I explained all this. Anyway, it's just a little shit.
It's just a little shit.
Some shit. It comes right off.
Yeah.
It's not the best.
It's easy to get off, actually. And so is throw up.
It wants to come off.
If it gets on your skin. If throw up gets on your car seat, that's another matter.
Ew!
M for Mark.
Jesus Christ.
I just said something that I deleted. And you listeners won't know what it is. You'll notice that I said that.
Oh, I just know I'm scarred.
Lacey's mortified. The impropriety. Her bow tie just started spinning.
All right.
You'll never believe what I said. It's not bad like you think it might be.
It was a lot.
I just described a sex act. That's
okay.
all. A good sex act that everyone should do.
A very good one. It's one of my faves.
Kissing. The sexual act of kissing. Well, Twister. Jan de Bont, the movie guy who made this movie, cinematographer in the 70s and 80s, worked with Paul Verhoeven, director of RoboCop and Total Recall, and Showgirls were your favorite. Also worked on this movie called Roar, which was
Katy Perry song.
Yeah, it was, Katy Perry. The Katy Perry song "Roar." That's actually a movie that he worked on.
Anyway, tell them about. It's a weirdest fucking.
So Tippi Hedren, the movie star from the '60s, mother of Melanie Griffith, dates and marries movie producer Noel Marshall. I almost said Noel Gallagher. Noel Marshall. And they're on a safari in Africa, and they see some lions have invaded an abandoned plantation. And they're like, that's cute. These lions, they're people living in this house. So they do the natural thing, and they buy a house in Africa and live with a bunch of lions in it. And tigers. And then they're like, you know what? This should be a movie. So Noel Marshall writes a script, and he's like, I'll star in it, and you'll star in it, and our kids will star in it. Melanie Griffith will star in it, and all of the Mr. Marshall's sons from his first marriage will star in it. Okay. So this will be a movie about, hey, we're living with lions and tigers. Isn't that nuts? It is. They hire real people to come in and shoot it, including Jan de Bont, who gets his scalp eaten off. The back of his scalp gets eaten off. It requires 200 stitches to get it back on. 70 people were injured by cats. Do you want to explain
how it happened?
Oh, well, a fucking tiger lion or something bit off his
bite, or it was a...
It was a bite. Okay. Bit off the back of his scalp. Okay. It was sort of a Roy of Siegfried and Roy situation with Manticore.
I mean, it's but not as bad. Well, no, it's kind of amazing that he survived. It must have been a minor attack when you think about it. Because if it wanted to, it could just keep eating his head.
I guess
the fact that it just got the back, it almost seems like it nipped at his hair and pulled it off.
Now that you say that, I'm thinking this isn't that good of a story, because you want this to be better. It's like 70 people were injured. It's like, were they fucking eaten to death? Well, no, they got like some scratches and stuff.
Okay, but 70 people. You said it's the most dangerous movie ever made.
Yes.
So what were the other injuries? It's still a good story.
Just bites and scratches and stuff.
I'm saying, then they weren't real bite. I mean,
Yeah, there were bites. Some of them were life-threatening, I think. I'm not an the encyclopedia of knowledge about the movie Roar, but Jan de Bont worked on this, and I feel like that has to inform his "you gotta bleed for your art" sort of ethos. Look at me, I had my scalp eaten off by a lion. Now, this Entertainment Weekly article I read from 1996 about the making of this movie reads very differently in our world now, our post-Me Too world now, and our world where suddenly we're re-examining things like Shelley Duvall in The Shining and the way Stanley Kubrick basically abused her to get a good performance out of her. Like, the movie shot for 9 months. She had to cry for 12 hours a day. Nobody was allowed to be nice to her on set because Stanley Kubrick didn't want that. He wanted all the trauma of the production of the movie to inform the performance. Jesus. And we all celebrate, oh, Stanley Kubrick, what a master. He'd do anything for his art, and look at the results. It's so great. And now suddenly we see these things as
fucked up.
Fucked up, yes. And yeah, I feel like they were dancing around. I'm going to read the quote. I'll read the quote now from the article. I'm going to have to pause our viewing of Twister. So, this is from the Entertainment Weekly article. Quote, "Is it true that she and Paxton," that'd be Bill Paxton, he played Bill in the movie Twister in 1996. "Is it true that she and Paxton had to have hepatitis shots after filming in a ditch crawling with bacteria?" "Yep." "Did she smack her blonde pate repeatedly on a low wooden bridge while shooting the same sequence, evidently so exhausted that she kept forgetting she couldn't stand up so quickly?" "Pretty much, yes." "And didn't de Bont's off-spoken desire to put his actors, quote, as close as possible, end quote, to the action, lead her to do a few shots she now thinks better of?" "Yes, again, especially one stunt in which Hunt opened the door of a vehicle that was speeding through a cornfield, stood up on the side of the passenger side, and then, clonk, got the door full in the side of the head when she let it go momentarily. As Paxton describes it, Kawam, hello, wake-up call, boing, check please. That ended that day's shooting. It scared the hell out of her, and I don't blame her for being upset. We did it again, but with a piece of railing holding the door open." And Bill Paxton's quote, but I'm still reading from the article. "Some secondhand sources say Hunt got a full-blown concussion. She won't discuss the details, but she acknowledges the mishap. God, you're reminding me how brutal it was," she frets. Who am I kidding? It was totally brutal." She recalls that she felt like a dazed refugee when she got back to Mad About You straight from Twister's final Oklahoma locations. At least, though, she found a decompression confidant in Paul Reiser. "More than anybody," she says, "Paul knows and understands how much I hate to be hit in the head." What Hunt appears to dislike just as much as... This is a segment called Reading. What Hunt appears to dislike just as much is an offhand suggestion made by de Bont in a separate interview that she was the architect of some of her own mishaps. "She hurt herself a couple of times, yeah," says the director, his crisp Euro accent and piercing, stale, slate blue eyes giving him a simultaneously charming and authoritarian air. "I love Helen to death, but she can also be a little bit clumsy sometimes. She hit her head so hard on the bridge over and over, I couldn't believe it. She was just so into the scene she forgot. One time she almost fainted, she hit it so hard, and then there was one other time she got hurt a little bit. She was supposed to hold a car door, and when the shot was over, she kind of forgot the door was there. It banged, it wasn't very hard." Anyway.
What the fuck? That was like speed reading, dude. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But you were so annoyed as I was reading.
No, I was annoyed the way you were reading.
Oh, damn it.
You were like, I'm reading. It's fine. It's fine.
Is it true?
It's fine. Stop.
She and Paxton.
Anyway, your fucking point is what? That his account of it is so minimizing and
the way it's written and even the way she is telling it is all like, well, that's just how it is, you get a concussion, you get hepatitis, like silly Helen, ditzy Helen. It infects all of this. I'm saying I feel like this story, if it were told today, would be like a big important story about the way male directors abuse if not in a sexual way, will abuse the people in the name of making art. And that we've historically celebrated male directors mostly, some female directors like Catherine Bigelow, but male directors for like really pushing the limit of their actors.
Yeah, I don't think I know enough about the making of. I always find it very interesting to find out things, but I don't think I know enough about the circumstances and conditions of other movies being made. So, yeah, that sounds hellish. I also don't, to get her as close to the action, like whenever they're looking at a tornado, What are they looking at? That's just CGI, or that's just
I think it's CGI that augments real effects that they're doing there with wind machines and stuff.
But is anything
a lot
like
of it
shit's flying around for real?
Shit is flying around, but I think most what you're looking at is CGI. And in fact, all the days they were shooting, it was bright sunlight out, which was bad for them. They had to spend a lot more money to get post conversion to dark skies.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a very hellish and difficult shoot. That's all. And this director only made a few more movies and then stopped working. The last movie he did was Lara Croft Tomb Raider 2, Cradle of Life.
And it was bad?
It was so bad that he says he stopped directing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he lost his eye for it? It was so bad he stopped directing. Like
he had such a bad experience on it.
Because he was so bad at it? I don't understand. Like, I mean, so he just accidentally picked up a couple of movies that didn't really have a chance, and they weren't really easy to direct to begin with?
He says he got so much interference from the studio he couldn't do things.
Oh, okay.
But earlier I said that I was starting to say that the person who rewrote the script was Joss Whedon, who rewrote like every script in the 90s. He's the Buffy the Vampire Slayer guy.
Yeah.
Who we now know is also a serial abuser of women on his sets. But all the stuff you're saying about the team, the camaraderie, that's all his specialty. That's like, he's great at stuff like that.
At making sure the cast is in love with each other?
Yep.
It's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
I guess I need to like pay attention to when a movie's bad, even though they get that part right. But I can't imagine it. If I care about the people as a group and I can tell they care about each other, I can care about anything. I think.
Yeah.
I will let you know if I'm wrong.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is a tornado?
A cyclone of air. Of two converging air systems. Maybe is it warm weather meeting cold weather, and then they.
That sounds right. I'm really impressed.
I mean, that's what a hurricane is on a macro level. So maybe it's a micro version of that.
A tornado is just a mini hurricane.
I mean, it's something.
But over land.
Well, it could be over water, but then it's a cyclone, or water spout. I don't know why certain places. I think it's because you need a lot of land to really let it pick up, and like interference like trees and like, I mean, I'm guessing, but there's got to be a reason why the plains area, the flatlands, are where it happens.
Tornado Alley is what it's called. I think it's because
Maybe that's why they're there.
It's because, and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos to try to understand this. When I try to understand weather, that's when I feel the stupidest.
You said that about blockchain.
When I try to understand weather, it's like I'm trying to understand blockchain. I feel like an idiot.
There you are.
So
what'd you learn?
Sea pressure. You get the warm air of the Gulf of Mexico meeting the cold air coming in from like the Canadian Rockies or something.
Okay, yeah, it's just
that's
a
why the middle of
perfect
the United
place
States is where the most tornadoes.
So I was right.
In the world, yes, you're right. I still don't totally get it because I'm an idiot when it comes to weather. I don't get it.
They're just going two different ways. They have two different pressure systems, so the pressure are like one's going this way, one's going this way, and it makes it both go like this. And the viewers can see nothing because there's no viewers. I was spinning like a tornado with my arms. You get it now?
No, because this is like when I tell somebody I don't understand Bitcoin, they're like, listen, it's
all
just
right.
Like, yeah, I'm telling you that you're going to explain it to me and I'm not going to get it.
I need to make an infographic. A diagram.
And that infographic is going to make me mad at myself.
Well, you deserve it.
Well, I think that I love these 90s disaster movies. I love disaster movies in general, and I like bad weather movies. But I think that I had seen Twister one time. I saw it in the theaters in 1996. Although I was surprised about how much of it I remembered. Maybe I've just seen parts of it on TV without really remembering it. I remember that they eat a flying cow, and I remember the Pepsi
eat
cans.
A flying cow?
I remember that there's a flying cow, and later they eat beef and joke that it came from the flying cow.
They did not joke that it came from a flying cow.
No?
No. Meg says, "Did you see all those cows out front?" And he says, "No." And then she goes, "Huh?" She was just making a farm joke. Not that you see that flying cow. I didn't see because I live way over here in fucking Rakita and I don't live your life.
When I was
no
8
one
years
saw
old,
that cow.
and when I was 33 years old, I misunderstood in the same way then.
No one saw that flying cow, but the three of the people who were in the truck.
I thought she did. I thought that she.
How would she have seen a flying
Because I'm watching a movie
cow?
and I figured the people in the movie are watching the movie too.
Jesus.
And as I was watching this movie, I was thinking,
found the dead cow
shut up,
that went
shut up.
flying.
Hey.
Carried it back with her hands
Hey.
and made steak
Listen,
for them.
We've been.
It just happened that day. How could that be? Okay.
Because I'm an idiot.
Okay. That's a fair answer. It flew to Wakita, landed on Oliver.
Wakita. Yes. Just making up words.
That's her name of her fucking
I'm sure
town.
it is. Yo, that's the name of her town, of
Oh my
course. When I was trying to think, what movie is that where the love interest is like, hey, main character, I'm leaving, and the main character's like, good idea, go back to the hotel, and then the lady's like, not going back I'm going back to my family in New York.
My family in New York.
And as I was wondering, what fucking movie is that from? It happens in this movie. I'm like, I guess this is the movie I got that weird memory from.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bill Paxton, I'm going. Like,
It does seem like they live in New York.
That's a good idea. Go back to the motel. And then she's like,
No, I'm leaving you.
and I don't even feel bad about it.
What does that mean?
But, I have such affection for disaster movies, and especially for these 90s movies, that every time I've thought about Twister and thought I should watch that again, I bet it's, it scratches my itch of like, ooh, love to see a big threat to mankind.
Okay.
That the thing that always made me think, because in this movie they're chasing the danger.
Uh-huh.
And that's the part that seems to make you like the movie and is what
There's more control.
these are just these very particular things that we gravitate toward. And the fact that they're chasers, that this is an adventure, not a disaster movie, is one of the things that makes me not love it. But that's just a preference thing.
Yeah, 100%. You're completely. I mean, yeah. I can tell you have bad taste, but
You have bad taste.
I know that. So what we're gonna do? But yeah, I'm a pussy, and what I love is like get me really excited, get me really scared, and then everything's fine. It's like it's the scary movie ebb and flow where you're so relieved when it's daytime again. You're like, okay, we've got some time.
I know,
It
but
just
it's
turned
like-
daytime again. All right.
Yeah, but if it's
nighttime again.
If it were a scary
Talking about
movie,
90s movies.
if it were a scary movie, but where the main character of the movie decided to go chase Freddy Krueger, the scary thing about Freddy Krueger is that he comes into your house. You know what it is?
No.
You know why Jaws is a great movie?
Shut up. The scary thing about Twisters are that they happen so sporadically and they
Sure.
can come to their house. And when they do, that means you're going to die. So, yeah, they're going to it so that they can kill it so it doesn't come kill them. It's like more like a zombie movie. Like,
Yeah, I
okay,
know, but
guys,
they don't have to do
we need
that.
it. They do if they want to keep living in this area and not randomly lose friends and family.
No, they could leave.
Okay, you're kidding, right? Everyone lives in a place where there are natural disasters,
I
and
know,
no one
but
leaves.
I'm not watching a documentary about real people. I'm watching a movie about movie characters.
So I'm saying they're
like,
going to the source. They're going to the enemy to kill it before it comes to kill them. It's the same as anything else. I win.
This is Jaws.
It's not
the great
like
thing
no.
about Jaws.
I'm still upset. It's not like I hear there's an erupting active volcano over on that island no one lives on. We should go see if we can touch it. And like, is it gonna erupt? I'm gonna go away. Is it gonna erupt? Oh, here I go. That would be stupid. No one that volcano's not gonna hurt anyone. Just don't go to that island. Twisters are sinister. I keep calling it a twister. Tornadoes are sinister because they can pop up and you only get a 3-minute warning and they fuck all your shit up.
Do you think I'm saying it's not a worthy thing to try to do to understand tornadoes
I'm
and come up
saying
with a
you're
bit?
wrong.
I'm saying that's less interesting of a narrative for me to follow than holy shit, 10 million mega tornadoes are bearing down on New York City.
They
That's
don't go to
way
New
better
York
movie to me.
City.
Which I believe happens in Roland Emmerich's The Day After Tomorrow, which I've considered bringing up on this podcast
Please
as
don't.
a movie we would watch.
Your movies suck.
Your movie sucks.
This one is awesome.
This one's fine.
And I've got another awesome one in the chamber.
What?
Well, I think we're doing Bad Boys, right?
Oh.
Or Wild West?
Oh.
Which one are we doing?
We keep discussing Wild Wild West because I watched it a million times as a kid too.
Oh, right. We're going to do a joint one.
But I would never say it's a joint load bring because I know it sucks. And I don't think I even liked it that much when I was a kid. It was just we owned it.
We could wow.
We could wild. You suck. Jaws. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, great.
You know what it is?
Every podcast comes.
Here's
back
why
to
Jaws
for
is
you.
great, because the first half is your horror movie. Oh my god, the shark's gonna kill us while we're just going on an innocent family swim at the beach. But the second half of the movie is the adventure. Now we're gonna go get him. And Twister is all the second half of Jaws. And by the way, second half of Jaws is probably the better half of Jaws. And yet, you need that first half to really understand the danger. Twister needs a first half where the Twisters are killing everyone
They
first.
don't. They open it with you seeing Joe's dad getting sucked from the earth.
I
for
need
her.
a good hour and a half of Joe's dad getting killed, like over and over again. That's
Your
what I'm
mom's
saying.
screams more than give you enough. More than plenty give it to you.
As the
It's a traumatizing
late
opening.
great DMX said, Joe's mom screams gonna give it to you. We're done, right?
I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Grab your Dorothy's. You know, the machine that...
Sure.
We did not explain at all what Twister was aiming to do.
They're just trying to understand tornadoes.
Yeah, they're trying to understand.
I meant to look up, hey, do we understand tornadoes now?
I know, like, is
Did
that
they
a
succeed?
technology? Is that real?
Their technology of
They
sending
should-
balls up into the
They
tornado?
should do that because, you know, if you whip around with them, they go, oh, because some of this air is hot, some of this air is cold. That's why we're here.
What accent are you doing?
I don't know. One that I feel okay doing.
Because it's like a New Orleans,
Yeah, I was doing, like-
Crawdaddy.
Yes. I was going, yep, that's what I was doing.
Okay, good save.
No, that's what I was doing.
Yes, good save.
Good save of what?
By me of clarifying that that you're imitating a white person.
Oh, yeah. In New Orleans, there are a bunch of douchey mansplainers who talk just like that.
And they love calling into Bobby Hebert's
Yes!
post-Thanksgiving.
You know what he did wrong was he missed the ball that
Bobby!
time. Hey! Sorry, yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yes, I forget not everyone has this accent in their town. Got it. Sorry.
Well, this was great.
I think so. It was a nonstop thrill ride, and I think we had many
Thrills and
options
chills.
to hug each other.
Wish we were trying to do more hugs and more sexual kissing on
Oh!
our show. We love you. Bye.
Bye!
3, 4. Everybody, love Mary Beans.